Cambodia. Its lush green landscape reflects a country rich in natural resources and human potential. But in recent years, there's been a dramatic shift in seasonal weather patterns. Climate change has begun to affect Cambodia's ability to feed its growing population, and it threatens to undo years of development progress. Among the countries affected by climate change, Cambodia ranks in the world's top 10. Most of its people live in rural areas, and they're overwhelmingly engaged in agriculture. But there's only limited infrastructure to mitigate the impacts of extreme weather, and nearly 50% of households and almost half the country's communes have been identified as being vulnerable to climate change. Cambodia's developed rapidly over the past decade. There have been major boosts to domestic consumption, tourism, agriculture, and foreign direct investment. These gains have measurably improved the lives of many of Cambodia's 14 million people. But despite this economic progress, there's a storm on the horizon. Cambodia faces big challenges in adapting to and mitigating the impacts of climate change. In the last 3 years alone, severe flooding has killed more than 400 and displaced many thousands more, most of them poor. Tens of thousands of hectares of rice paddy were destroyed. Prolonged periods of drought have added to Cambodia's problems. The country has been ill-equipped to deal with crop failures and food shortages which have followed. UNDP is supporting the government in tackling the worst effects of extreme weather and changing rain patterns. The Cambodian Climate Change Strategic Plan aims to help the country's most at-risk communities at all administrative levels through adaptation measures, biodiversity conservation, and access to energy. UNDP is also developing disaster risk management programs. Cambodia's rainfall patterns were predictable for centuries. They provided the foundation of the country's food security, and even today, 4 out of 5 Cambodians rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. But climate change has left them in a vulnerable position. Unpredictable weather patterns have hit the all-important rice-growing season, pushing it later in the calendar and causing intense droughts and damaging floods. And the country has little capacity to adapt. Crop failure and food shortages have increased. Coastal communities and ecosystems face significant rises in sea levels, and higher temperatures and humidity may create conditions for malaria and dengue fever outbreaks. The poorest sectors of society, particularly women and children, will inevitably suffer the most.
នាពេលកន្លងមកតកតងទៅនឹងភាពរាំងស្ងួតនោះវាបានធ្វើឲ្យគាត់នោះមិនអាចធ្វើស្រែបានដោយសារដីវាលក្ខណៈស្ងួតគ្មានទឹកនោះគាត់មិនអាចធ្វើស្រែការអញ្ចឹងគាត់ទុកវាចោលហើយក៏មិនអាចដាំដំណាំកើតដែរអង្គការពួកយើងបានចាប់ផ្ដើមស្ដារបន្លាយដើម្បីនាំទឹកចូលមកកាន់ទំនប់នេះហើយនឹងបានធ្វើទ្វារទឹកមួយដើម្បីទប់ទឹកឲ្យវាអាចរក្សាទឹកបានច្រើនដើម្បីប្រើប្រាស់នៅរដូវប្រាំងបន្ទាប់មកយើងបានធ្វើជាបន្លាយបេតុងដើម្បីនាំទឹកមកកាន់ស្រែពួកគាត់ផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងការបំរែបំរួលអាកាសធាតុកាលពីមុននោះអត់តធ្វើទំនប់បង្ហាហ្នឹងគឺប៉ះពាល់នឹងរាំងឈ្ងួតបាទរាំងឈ្ងួតអញ្ចឹងវិជាបរដ្ឋគាត់ដែលបានធ្វើ3ដងឯក្នុងមួយរដូវគាត់ដែលបាន3ដងឯណាតែទៅពេលបានធ្វើទំនប់បង្ហាគឺបាន3ដងក៏ប៉ុន្តែនៅមានការជួបឧបសគ្គនិងបំរែបំរួលអាកាសធាតុបន្តទៀតពេលទឹកជំនន់ក៏មានការប៉ះទង្គិចដែរប៉ះទង្គិចដល់វិជាបរដ្ឋដែរក៏ប៉ុន្តែមិនជាធំដូចជាការរាំងឈ្ងួតប្រហែលទេ
The royal government of Cambodia's response was to create the Cambodia Climate Change Alliance. It's a group of development partners, line ministries, local government institutions, and civil society organizations. They've joined forces to strengthen Cambodia's adaptability and resilience to the impact of climate change. Funding comes from the European Union, Sweden, and Denmark, and it's supported by UNDP.
បើអត់មានអង្គការចូលមកធ្វើឲ្យ chia chốn nhóm mang thơ sẽ bán làm mặt đó cô chuôn bán chuôn ọt trắng đá thơ bán làm mặt đó ọt miên bà lái hôm lẹ trâu lên lục ý ọt miên ăn cá thơ áo ya cô hay bán ăn cá thơ áo chẳng ấu bán tơ căng hầu mồ pi nam mới dừng bán hộp khốp khoán hay việc bán lộ tịch tua chết đái chẳng cái nào cô hôn chào ông việc riêng sốt bán khốp khoán chẳng đâu.
The Cambodia Climate Change Strategic Plan aims to streamline its response to all climate-related issues. A climate change financing framework will be integrated into development strategies and planning at national, regional and local levels. Over the next 10 years, the plan will address the resilience of people living in rural and coastal communities. They depend on subsistence farming to support their livelihoods, but water is a big issue for them, whether it's an excess of flood water or an absence of irrigation. Importantly, to curb CO2 emissions, this strategic plan also aims to promote low-carbon solutions to energy needs, such as improved cooking stoves, solar panels, and the use of biogas, to help implement a greener, more energy-sustainable way of providing much-needed power supplies to rural populations. Making connections is the key to responding to the impact of climate change. UNDP uses an integrated approach, supporting its development partners and local communities and linking the sectors where development aid is critical. The Cambodia Community-Based Adaptation Programme is at the heart of this initiative. It aims to reduce the vulnerability of Cambodia's agricultural sector to changes in the availability of water resources. On the ground, it's about local ownership of both problems and solutions. Target communities need to learn to adapt and manage the risks associated with climate change. The programme creates a participatory process. Planning and implementation solutions are developed by the affected communities themselves. Something as simple as a water pipe can have a profound impact on people's lives. In Chambok commune in Kompong Spur, they've installed a system to bring water from a nearby waterfall to 600 families living in 6 villages. UNDP has been supporting the project since 2007, with funding from the Global Environment Facility and later, in 2011, from Sweden. It addresses the critical shortage of water available to the villagers in Chambok commune. Sao Buon is a 38-year-old farmer who's lived there his entire life. In the past, he had to walk 3 kilometers to a waterfall to get supplies for drinking, cooking, and simply washing.
ពីសម័យមុនប្រជាជននៅក្នុងភូមិច្រកជាយើងខ្ញុំនេះពីមុនគាត់ខ្វះខាតទឹកដាំបន្លែគាត់បានកើតការពារដែលសុខភាពបាទសុខភាពក្រុមគ្រួសារខ្ញុំក៏ដូចជាការដងទឹកយកមកដាំបាយក៏ខ្វះខាតហើយខ្វះខាតគេទៅគាត់កុកខោមិនចង់ហ៊ានប្រើប្រាស់ទឹកច្រើនទេដូចជាមុជទឹកកូនខ្ញុំដុសបានតិចចឹងហើយការលាងដៃសាប៊ូគាត់បានទេខ្វះខាតទឹកដែលយើងហូបទៅចេះតែមានមេរោគបញ្ចូលតាមនឹងតោឲ្យតែរៀបរុះទៅមានគ្រុនមានអីទៅមានព្រូនមានអៀនទៅវាបញ្ហាយើងវាខ្វះខាតទឹកពីឆ្នាំ2011 2012នោះគឺបានទឹកសយោនេះគឺទៅមកភូមិច្រកជាអែមយើងនេះគឺបានធូរធារបានដាំដំណាំតាមលក្ខណៈគ្រួសារហើយមានតាំងពីទឹកមន់ទឹកជ្រូកអីយើងបាយចិញ្ចឹមជូរចិញ្ចឹមមន់បាន
But things have begun to change for the better during the past 2 years. An innovative but simple solution was almost right before the villagers' eyes. The Cambodia Community-Based Adaptation Programme worked with the local community to install a 25-kilometre piping system. It runs directly from Chambok's scenic waterfall and provides a year-round water supply to more than 3,000 villagers. The project's been so successful that it's been extended, with pipes running to 3 more villages. This system now serves more than 630 families. That's allowed many homes to add improved sanitation facilities, including water-supplied latrines. Those were an unheard-of luxury only a few years ago. Improved health among the communities means they can save more of their income. That opens up the possibility of a better education for children from the surrounding villages.
một tực mà nam mày ở chẳng ngầu cuốn ở sâu chư tao ấy chẳng ngầu có ban tàu riêng ở miền em nghe lo ngay tàu riêng là hốt tàu bay chết pro tàu ban tực pre crop crono tàu bay cuốn trâu của vị tàu nóc trôi mùi trôi lấy chẳng nào phụ tàu bay chết
The availability of water means the villagers can grow organic fruit and vegetables in their own gardens, and that's given them extra income. A nearby eco-tourism centre has been snapping up their produce. As the wider community has prospered, the centre's been a big success in its own right. It's not far from the waterfall, and it's been able to pump fresh water directly to its lodge. That's enabled the business to expand and hire more local villagers from Chambok commune. It's a virtuous circle. Increasing tourist arrivals mean a greater demand for quality fresh fruits and vegetables. Local farmers with surplus produce have reaped the profits. There have been environmental benefits too. Locals used to exploit forest products and wildlife, damaging the finely balanced local ecosystem. Now, people like Tuch Morn have moved away from old practices like wood cutting.
អ្នកភូមិក៏ដូចជាអាជ្ញាធរក៏តែងចាត់សមិទ្ធផលនេះក៏ថាគឺជាប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រមួយនៅក្នុងសហគមន៍តាំងពីដូនតាមិនធ្លាប់មានគម្រោងហើយមិនធ្លាប់មានលទ្ធផលដែលមានដៃអាចយកទឹកមកគាត់បាក់មកគឺមានទឹកនៅក្នុងផ្ទះក្នុងនឹងតាមពិតគម្រោងដំបូងគឺយើងគ្រាន់តែលទ្ធផលរំពឹងទុកគ្រាន់ថាទឹកនឹងដែលបានមកត្រឹមមកបោកគក់ហូបអីជាដើមទេប៉ុន្តែបងប្អូនអាចឆ្នៃទឹកនឹងគាត់អាចដាំបន្លែរកចំណូលបានខែសាបគាត់អាចយកទឹកសម្រាប់សាបសំណាបសាបស្រូវអីនឹងបានពីមុនពេលដែលគាត់ចង់ទិញបន្លែគឺគាត់ទៅផ្សារត្រែងទៅយើងគាត់ចង់បានអ្វីដែលភ្លាមមិនបានកក់មុនហើយគាត់មកភ្លាមអញ្ចឹងមានការខ្វល់ខ្វាយមិនថាតើគាត់យកបន្លែពីណាដើម្បីចម្បានជូនភ្ញៀវនិយាយខ្លីថាអ្វីទាំងអស់ដែលមាននៅទីនេះគឺជាលទ្ធផលមួយដែលធ្វើឲ្យបងប្អូននៅខាងក្នុងភូមិហ្នឹងគាត់អាចដាំបន្លែរកចំណូលបានសម្រាប់គាត់ពងមកកន្លែងនេះហើយកន្លែងនេះក៏អាចងាយស្រួលក្នុងការទំនាក់ទំនងជាមួយអ្នកភូមិថាឥឡូវហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ត្រូវការបន្លែនេះមុខនេះគឺមិនបាច់ចំណាយលុយទៅទិញឆ្ងាយនៅឯត្រែងទៅយើង
This village has never had a connection to the national electricity grid, but now its time to get power has come. The scheme is another part of the Cambodia Community-Based Adaptation Programme's remit. It aims to increase the ability of targeted communities to manage the risks of climate change. The majority of Cambodia's population rely on agriculture to earn a living. Farmers depend on water and electricity to yield sustainable harvests. When there's a problem with energy or water supplies, that hits rural communities hard. It damages productivity, affecting both normal development issues and agricultural activities. The programme's response is to develop solutions adapted to the Cambodian context and reduce the cost of providing electricity to farmers. Here in Por village in Kompong Chenang, the programme has installed solar panels in 2 mini substations. This power source recharges car batteries, providing a rudimentary supply of electricity. The solar panels have had a significant impact on the community's carbon dioxide emissions by lessening their reliance on gasoline and diesel to generate electricity, and car batteries that might have been discarded much sooner now have a longer life. Each solar station has the capacity to recharge up to 50 batteries a day. In theory, that's enough power to provide the average family with electricity for a year. Using renewable energy sources in this way may seem a relatively small step, but a lack of electricity has been keeping the farming-based community in the dark. Now, the people have rallied round a practical and environmentally friendly resource.
ក្នុងការរស់នៅដូចជាក្នុងគ្រួសារនាងខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់ហើយនឹងប្រជាជនផ្ទាល់គឺមានការលំបាកអត់ភ្លើងទៀនហើយនឹងអត់ចង្កៀងប្រេងកាតគឺថាវាល្ងិតការពីដើមខ្ញុំបញ្ចូលម៉ាស៊ីនហ្នឹងគឺថាវាមានតម្លៃថ្លៃខ្ពស់ជាងដល់ពេលកាលណាបានកញ្ចក់សូឡាហ្នឹងតម្លៃវាថោកជាងគេបញ្ចូលម៉ាស៊ីនពេលណាឃើញប្រជាជនយកអង្គុយមកច្រើនអញ្ចឹងគឺថាខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍រំភើបសប្បាយ
Families hosting the solar panels have been able to boost their own income dramatically, as 2/5 of the recharging fee goes to the supplier. The model has been a great success, and there are plans to extend the scheme to other villages which don't have a regular electricity supply. 42-year-old Mom Sambat, through his NGO Local Capacity Builder, pioneered the scheme with the support of the UNDP. Now it's set to spread to a number of electricity-deficient communities across Kompong Chenang.
ពិភពលោកក៏កំពុងតែព្រួយបារម្ភទាក់ទងទៅនឹងការប្រែប្រួលអាកាសធាតុហើយប្រទេសមួយចំនួនក៏កំពុងរងគ្រោះយ៉ាងធ្ងន់ធ្ងរដោយសារគ្រោះធម្មជាតិហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងអានេះវាជាផលប៉ះពាល់នៃការប្រែប្រួលអាកាសធាតុដូច្នេះអង្គការនៃកសាងសមត្ថភាពក៏បានចូលរួមចំណែកក្នុងការបន្សំខ្លួនទៅដល់ការប្រែប្រួលអាកាសធាតុយើងធ្វើតាមរយៈការផ្សព្វផ្សាយឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋហ្នឹងមានការយល់ដឹងពីវិធានការការពារខ្លួនរៀបចំខ្លួនដើម្បីសុវត្ថិភាពក្នុងការរស់នៅហើយចូលរួមចំណែកកាត់បន្ថយទៅលើការប្រើប្រាស់ធម្មពលជាដើមដូច្នេះហើយបានជាកម្មវិធីយើងបានធ្វើគម្រោងដោយធម្មពលពលឺព្រះអាទិត្យក៏ជាផ្នែកមួយនៃការកាត់បន្ថយផលប៉ះពាល់ដល់បរិស្ថានដែរ
Solar power on this scale might not be the answer to Cambodia's future energy needs alone, but other renewable and energy-efficient sources of power are also on trial around the country. They include gas-producing biodigesters, fuel-efficient cooking stoves, and solar water pumps. Together, they are having an impact and are helping Cambodians to mitigate climate change effects. One thing is for sure: how climate change ultimately affects Cambodia and its uniquely vulnerable population is no longer a matter of conjecture. Through the Cambodian Climate Change Strategic Plan, Cambodia is committed to increasing its resilience across a range of possible future climate scenarios. At the same time, it's helping to improve livelihoods, social and economic well-being, and the quality of the environment. The UNDP is actively supporting the country's capacity to address and strengthen its response to climate change. It does this through community-based adaptation initiatives and by its collaboration with the Royal Government of Cambodia and other development partners. These partnerships are ensuring the sustained delivery of programs that help affected communities become more resilient. By adapting to climate change now, Cambodia can reduce its vulnerability to its effects. But it needs long-term financial and institutional support to make sure it's ready for disasters, and the Cambodian people will need continued help to better adapt to the changes they're already experiencing.